Hey, this is Ann at Clinton Parkway Nursery, and today we're going to plant a salsa garden for you. So now, there's different types of salsa, but so we get to pick what we're going to plant, and I'm going to kind of show you. I'm going to do it in a container. Now realize that all this could be done in the ground too on that. So we're just going to do a container because it'll be a little easier. And what we're going to plant is we're going to do some tomatoes, some peppers, some cilantro, and some onions. Okay, and we probably should have started this a little sooner, but we're okay. The cilantro may be a little ahead of the game compared to the others, but think about, you want to try to get them all ripen at the same time because you want to use them all at the same time. We have, the tomato is going to be the big one, and to give you an idea, there's different varieties of tomatoes. Okay, now I have two here. I have a Jet Star and I have a Celebrity. And if you look on the label, you have indeterminate and you have the Celebrity as a determinate, which means the indeterminate tomato just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so you really need a cage, and you really probably should put it in the ground rather than in a pot, because it's going to get so tall. You can even cage the determinate, but it will be so tall that it may just blow over on that. So you want to make sure that you're going to use a determinate tomato in a pot on that. And then you can still cage it, but it's not going to get, they reach a point and kind of stop. They also have the tendency to produce kind of like all at once, and they'll have a bunch and then they rest, and a bunch and they rest. So that's perfect for what we want, because we want them all to come on at the same time on that. So, and the pepper is your choice. We picked a jalapeno. I'm not a jalapeno person, but I can grow them on that. So what you put in as far as peppers, number one, if you want peppers, some people don't put peppers in their salsa, I understand. And so then do you want it hot? Do you want it mild? Do you want, what do you want on that? So that's where you get to pick. But pepper plants aren't going to be that big. We're going to we started with a big pot like this. We call those tomato tubs. And I want you to use at least that size. If you have one at home that's bigger, that would be actually more ideal, okay? When you go to put the soil in the pot, I want you to put 100% soil. Don't be putting styrofoam spaghetti or milk jugs or, something in the bottom. So, and because I always ask, now why are you doing that? Well, the answer I get is, so I don't have to buy as much potting soil. And my reply is, why on earth did you buy a big pot if you're going to put junk in the bottom the plant can't use on that? So you want to fill it, you want it eventually 100% soil. Okay, now, as you can see, I only have it half full on that. So what I'm going to do, now grant, the potting soils may have fertilizer in it. They have some wetting agent. We're using the Fertilome soil. I like it the best because it has a good wetting agent. But even with that, it's still going to dry out. And even with the fertilizer, it's probably not enough for the plant all season long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some soil moist in there. That is actually what's already in the potting soil. So I'm putting some of it in. Now, I have it in a big jug. So that's why I'm showing you the bag. But it looks, it kind of looks like rock salt on that when you look at it. Now, what you do is you put it in the pot, and if you took, and it'll tell you how much to use. Like this size of pot is kind of like a 10 gallon. It's saying for a 3 gallon, you're going to use 3 teaspoons. So I'm going to take that times 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, and that's pretty close to 10. So I'm going to put 9 teaspoons in there. So I put 3, I'm going to do 6, and I'm kind of spreading it all over on that. And then what I'm going to do is shake it a little bit. And the reason I'm putting it down to the bottom is because I want the roots to go all the way down. I want them to go down to here on that. If I put it at the top, why do I have to go anywhere? Because the water's right here. I want them to go down looking for it. And with the shaking it, that knocks it down, because the soil's dry, so it knocks it down even further. Okay, so I'm doing soil moist. The next thing I'm going to do is the garden coat. Okay, garden coat is, realize that you are going to be watering this thing pretty much every day. So this is a fertilizer that has a slow release fertilizer. Okay, so what it does is each time you get some water on it, it releases a little bit for the plant every time. So if you didn't do any more, it's got some for quite a while, but I would suggest even fertilizing on top of it. And it's the same way. I have it in a big jug because we use a lot of it. And it says for a 5-gallon, you're going to use 3 tablespoons. So again, I'm doing a 10-gallon, so I'm going to do 6 tablespoons. And 2, 4, 6. Okay, I've got 6 in here. Okay, and the same thing, I'm going to shake it a little bit so it goes down. Now, you can't, if I look at it, you can't even tell it's in there on that. I want it to be deep so that the roots go deep. Okay, so then I've got my soil in. Now, these pots are not very big. So now my next step is going to be finish filling it with soil. And remember that as time progresses, the soil will settle. So I want it fairly, you know, the more soil I have, and you can see it's dry, the more soil I have, this isn't soil, if it's going to settle, I got it pretty close to the top. So if it settles a little bit, I'm still okay. But the more soil I can get, the better. Now, of these plants, the tomato is the tallest. Okay. So, and actually I probably screwed up, but I'm going to do it anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dig a little bit of a giant hole. Because you can do this with tomatoes. You can't do it with everything else, but you can do it with tomatoes. See how tall this tomato is? I'm going to plant it at the bottom of the pot. So see, now it's like, whoa, it's not even near as big. That's okay. See the fuzz on the stem of the tomato? That fuzz will turn to roots. So what am I doing? I'm giving it 6 to 8 inches more of root area almost instantly. So I pull it out of the pot. It's pretty good shape. I may rough these up a little bit, so then what they will do, instead of, see how they're trying to grow around and around? I'm pulling it out a little bit, so then what they're gonna do is they're gonna grow this way rather than around and around. The leaves that are gonna be buried, I'm just breaking those off on that, maybe, okay. So see, I've got it down, and I've got it down here, and there you go. I just threw the leaves back in there because they'll compost. Okay, so then I'm going to put the soil back in that I pulled out, so I make it level again. The rest of the plants are small enough that I can work around the soil, and I don't have to worry about, I can't get a hole deep enough on that. So I put the soil back in, and I put it in the middle because it's the biggest, okay? Now, I'm gonna do the pepper next because it's the next biggest on that. And you can kind of just squeeze the pot. Now see, this one's even got a lot more roots. I'm just gonna pull these off on that because that's gonna make it, and I'm gonna roughen these up a little bit on that so that then when I plant it, and I'm gonna plant it over here, it's gonna be a little crowded when it's mature, but it'll still work for us. So there's your pepper. Okay, now the cilantro, I'm not a salsa person, but I understand you need a lot of cilantro, so I'm going to plant 3 of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant them right here on the back. So again, I'm going to rip this up a little bit, break it up, and I'm going to I'm planting them at the depth they are on that, maybe a little bit deeper, because remember, I'm going to water these guys and they're going to settle some. The soil will settle on that. So, and actually, they changed their label, so I can't, wish they had tags like they used to, but I have tags. If you have tags, put them in the pot so you know what you got. So if next year it's like, ooh man, I loved it, I wonder what it was, you know. If you don't, you know, next year you go, man, I didn't like that at all, then you know what you did on that. So you can add and subtract there. Okay, so there's my cilantro. And then we need onions, okay? So onions, you can do plants, you can do sets. These are sets on that, and they don't get very deep, so I'm just gonna put them right on top, kind of, like, and I put them at the corner here. See how I'm kind of burying them and you can hardly see it on that? And I'm going to put some over here on that, and they'll come up, and then when they get big enough, and actually the onions are kind of a nice one because they don't take a lot of space, and when they're ripe, you don't have to pick them right that second on that. So you can say, okay, they're ready and the tomatoes and peppers aren't, I can wait on that. So now it's set, you've got your salsa garden. What I would do is water it in well. I would actually water it with some root stimulator because that'll get it going. And I would not fertilize until, and it's kind of, I'm just cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna say you have a bloom on your tomato. I don't recommend you fertilize with a regular fertilizer until it starts to bloom on that. I would wait a little bit just because we just got done potting it on that. But, and then even though you put the garden coat in there, I would do some regular liquid fertilizer that you just add, like the Fertilome All-Purpose. It's a 12-12-12, and what it does is gives you some general fertilizer each time you water on that. So remember, you're watering a lot. You're probably going to water, maybe not early on in the season because it's cooler, but when it gets warm, you're going to water this every day. So each time you water, it takes the prills of the fertilizer, and what it'll do is it'll dissolve them. So, you know, they're all the same kind of, no, they're not the same size. But see, as they get some and washes off, you're not going to have much fertilizer left. So what that does is give you some to take care of it when it runs out. And the idea is this is what they call intensive gardening on that. So because you've got stuff crowded in there fairly quick, fairly tight, you need to fertilize fairly often and fairly, well, regularly, let's say, so that it will continue to bloom and do what you want it to do. So you're on your own. You've got your salsa garden here. When it's ripened, you're on your own for making salsa because I have no idea how to make it. I can just grow it. But I'd like to say thanks for listening, and we'll have more videos as we go along.